Okay, all right. So let's start going over the items in for the RISPM UX check-in agenda. Alright, I do know if Jackie is joining.
I don't know. I didn't follow who's on vacation and who's not.
I thought for some reason I thought that you're having a one-on-one before this. So
No.
I'm wrong. All right,
Jackie's online, so maybe she's coming because she's on Slack, so she's here.
Okay. Anyway, I think we should just kick off. Orit, your first point about the UX work planning for the milestone. I know that we discussed it also in the past, so I can.
Yeah, I also discussed individually, but I just want to repeat what we decided. So a lot of items that we have scheduled for 12.7. So this is specific for this release, but it's also general for all releases. There might be an item that's too large to do design and implementation at the same milestone. And the problem with that is that when we do a release kickoff, it's auto-generated according to anything that has a direction label and has the milestone on it, the next milestone. So it looks to the customers as if we're going to deliver this at the end of the milestone. So it's misleading. And that's why I only want to leave the development implementation issues within a milestone. Excluding from that is everything that is going through the validation track, because that's only our job and that's specific to a milestone. But if anything that involves both UX and implementation, if it's too large to be in one milestone, then what I want to do from now on is put the issue in the next milestone and have the designers work on it on this current milestone. So it's a little bit confusing for you, but it's something to keep in mind.
On this note, Audit, this is something we've discussed, I think, a couple of times, like ages ago. I think it would be interesting to have UX-specific issues so that we can work on a prototyping, not just the validation, but something that is separate from the engineering or the development issue. Because now, yes, we do move things with the label, but sometimes they float around, at 2-3 milestones. So I'm a fan of having UX issues because it will help us, keep the comments also organized and structured, and the decisions really a bit clearer for the group. But
so
your thoughts?
I definitely agree. I definitely also think I need your input to know what's really large and requires an additional issue, because a lot of UX issues just like, add a tooltip here or add a milestone there, which definitely doesn't require a new issue. So if you feel, this is something that I've been encouraging engineering as well, if you feel that the item is too large for one milestone, then let's open another issue. We shouldn't be dealing with humongous issues. Doesn't matter who needs to deal.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. And also I think we should also have, more holistic vision issues, which will probably have those inside. Like I did something very similar with Mike for feature flags. Like we had the discussion, we talked about all the different features that we're thinking. He put all the mock-ups into one issue, and then only after we finished that did we actually separate it into individual issues, which I thought was a really good practice.
Yeah, I think it's a good best practice. It would be nice for us to try it out with some of the issues, like what you say, that need more holistic approach. It doesn't have to be for every small detail. I agree. Sometimes you don't even need prototyping or anything. Just throw an acceptance criteria or a description, and that's enough.
Sometimes if it's small enough, even I do it, and I just ask for you to say what you think.
Yeah. I really like what you ladies are discussing, and in this case, if we will be, Orit, you're saying that you need help from product designers to understanding what's big, what's small, the size, and I feel like also product designers sometimes have questions about, more diving deep into the problems and maybe competition, maybe business goals, etc. So it all goes to this point that we need UX plannings, kind of like UX PM sync ups, and this is kind of goes to like what we started to discuss before everyone else joined. I think maybe we can leverage this session, maybe we can transform them basically into like UX planning, vision discussions, I don't think big, whatever we want to call them, and split them by the groups. So I feel like we need to split the session into progressive delivery and the release management, so we can have a bit more focus, a bit more time to discuss their specific work, you know, and make some plans out of that.
Yeah, and on this note, I know that that other stage groups, they do follow this best practice. So Matei in Growth, they have a specific like UX focused issues, and then they start.
So it's not like we don't do it at all. We don't do it very often. Like we said when I was in Utrecht, we sat on the release page and we did that. I did the same thing with Mike, but we should definitely do it with other items.
Yeah. Awesome. And if we do that, let's start the documentation so we can also see how it goes.
That's just too much.
So, and sorry for sticking to that point. So are we breaking the sessions into the 2 stage groups and calling them, I don't know, UX planning, or leave it as a PM UX check-in? Like what's the destiny for these sessions? I would suggest to split them into 2 and leave them half an hour and invite like Jackie to one or Reed to another one. So we also have a bit more prioritization for the PMs. For the product designers, it seems like we will need to join every, but.
Yeah, my suggestion was to like have 15 minutes to go over each stage, each group, subgroup, whatever. So that we can keep it focused and have a little bit more of a async opportunity, but I'm happy to try anyways. But my point again is that we need to have an agenda set before those calls, because we have the PM, we have the engineering manager call, and then we have the group check-ins. We have a bunch of calls that happen before this one, and then we end up not really discussing everything that we have to. So another suggestion, maybe we can move this instead of Thursday to another day, like I don't know, Tuesday, before the end of the week. But yeah, audit doesn't work on Fridays, right? So yes, need to check out.
I'm afraid that 15 minutes can be a little short, but I don't like from the side I'm seeing how much discussions and questions can happen. I feel like 15 minutes is actually 10, well, let's put it this way, 10 minutes is an ideal time to discuss like one issue in details. You know, for example, like taking again this one button story, Mike, that we discussed today in the morning. So I feel like, yeah, trying to separate them can be a bit more beneficial. And I agree on the agenda to keep focus for sure.
Yeah, let's try it out. I think that if we want to go like deeper into topics, then it should be focused on that functionality or focus on, you know, and also to give some background story, maybe it's time to change. I know it's time for us to change the structure of these calls, but this was really a moment where Jason and I would just go over the board, and that's how Audit and I used to do until recently, and with Mike, just go over everything and see the status of the milestones, like a health check. And I'm gonna link here the issue about productive meetings, and because I think we already have some ideas and inputs there. Maybe we can follow up on that. I'm gonna add here, but it's also in the doc.
All right, and then, okay, I'm volunteering to reschedule the sessions then.
Good luck finding the time.
Thanks, I'll need that for sure.
Okay, cool.
And something that we discussed with the Reed, this is like the second point here. So, however, like I definitely agree with the fact that we should not, like, it would be nicer to not place the issues that we are working in design, and we know that it won't end up in a milestone, in this current milestone, place it like +1 milestone, work on it like +1 milestone. I was thinking that it would be also amazing, Lori, to discuss like some research opportunities and like planning even more ahead. You guys probably will kill me right now, but talking about like what is going into the +2 milestones, so we can start the validation even earlier. Because if we are working on the things that will be released in the next milestone, then we should be doing validation on the things that will be released in 2 milestones, pretty much. I don't know if that's clear. I'm making myself clear here.
So another thing that I have been starting to work on is consolidating related issues into epics. This is something that Hayana made me do, and it's great. Uh, so actually, if you start working on an issue and you go into the epic itself, you can see kind of the roadmap that's planned. Even if we don't follow it to the letter, you can pretty much see what's coming up in the next milestone and +2, +3. So you can wrap your head around what's coming up and get a better picture of what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, and I think also once we not get started because we're already doing this, but with the Think Big sessions, we're gonna have a better overview, like what Orit say, of the issues or the functionalities more holistically, and then we can break things down other than look at milestones and then decide what to build. I think we need to shift that approach at some point, but that's gonna happen. It's natural.
So basically you're saying that if we're going to make this, new sessions, wherever, we will have a little bit more guidance and clearance. So it's going to be useful. All right. Jackie, are you following the same pattern as we discussed right now? So like making epics and kind of like assigning the issues to the milestones?
Yeah, I started to do that when I first joined, and regrooming and creating like my roadmap from better, more defined epics.
Cool. So it should be easy then to follow.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
also think this is a good opportunity to utilize the planning board for things like this, right? To look 1 and 2 milestones ahead. I know we're at the early stages of that, but I can see that being a very valuable thing is on that planning board, kind of having, however we end up structuring it, but some way to visualize it on that board to look 1 and 2 ahead.
So there is a board at the moment that exists, and it's called Release Roadmap, and it is one board. And I want to keep it like that. And that way you can see everything that's planned for the release stage, especially since you and Ayana aren't split up yet, so you can get a bigger picture. And basically, I think you could check there by filtering either by design or by UX labels and see what's coming up for both groups.
And a comment on top of that with the board, I think will be a very good asset for us to have a better sense of workload, and also, not just think ahead, but plan ahead how we want to tackle things. Because that's something I discussed with Jackie yesterday. That's, if we split, that's great. But what if I go on holidays for like 3 months? It can happen. And then Mike, we need to.
Oh, yeah, you just said one month.
Okay, 1 month.
Or it's like, no, you can't leave ever. I saw it in her face.
Let's say Mike goes on vacation for 5 weeks, and then it will help if we had like a better understanding, a better overview, I think, more transparency on what we're working on, and then see the progress of things other than just the milestone boards, but the overall planning. That'll be super cool as well.
Nice. It sounds like we found the golden solution to all the problems.
Or if we had.
Don't let Hayana go on vacation.
I mean, I'm still catching up, but in general, we don't have a way in GitLab to visualize. We don't have like a global board. It's everything by project. Everything's really broken down, and there's an issue to fix that. But even if you have personal boards, everything changes if the actual board or the label changes with the issue. So I tried that for myself, and that's why I have my my tasks project where I keep track of everything, but I don't think it's transparent enough because I'm the one that has control over it. I think it would be nice for us to have a better overview. Anyways, that's me.
Okay, cool. Curious who placed this item here, 12.8 pre-planning. What do we... What was that?
It was probably me.
Ah, okay. Do you want to...
Just continuing our previous conversation. Okay. This is a sneak peek of what we have for coming up for 12.8. I think we should skip this for now and see if we have time to go over it after we complete all the other agenda items.
So I assume in 12.8 there isn't anything that needs research. because
So,
it's already 12/7.
what do you mean that nothing to research?
Needs problem validation research because that needs to be done now. So I don't see anything in that column. So as long as we're good with that, then I'm good with putting it off as well.
This one.
So,
Oh, sorry.
at 12.7, we have two validation issues. One is the feature flags, and one is a spin-off of review apps. This is besides the work that you have for Jackie's side, which is the blackout period and Runbooks, right? So I'm not sure yet on validation. I think maybe we'll have follow-ups from feature flags. I have a feeling that there's going to be a follow-up from feature flags. And then
Is that going to be like solution validation, you think, with some design work, or more
probably
problem
more solution
validation?
than problem, because the problem we're doing in 12.7.
And what am I supposed to be doing for that?
Well, Mike volunteered, so.
Is that
So
what we're
Mike-
doing already, Mike, with the blackout dates and the executable run books?
This was
That's
this
what
was
I
that issue where we're talking about. We had done a few interviews on feature flag, but we hadn't got. I think we'd only gotten 4 participants, and 2 of them were kinda
Right.
not great. And basically continuing that, but also including in some of the new designs and actually running some people through some usability tests on those. And I think the last comment on it was we were going back and forth was when were we going to do this, and my answer to that has been in my head of let me just clear out the 12/7 stuff that I needed to get done this week, and then
Yeah.
focus on that. So it's moved pretty near the top of my list. So I don't have a great answer of when we can tackle that, but it is near the top of my list. So I plan on at least having a plan for that before the end of day tomorrow. So
So we do have to do a little bit of pre-work, because if you plan to talk to anybody when we come back from break, we need Emily to start trying to find them now, or at least get her to prep so she can start as soon as she gets back on the 6th of January. Because it will take, there's a reason we only had that many people to talk to when I talk to them. It's going to take a while to find people. And if we need to get this done and wrapped up by the end of 12/7, which is like what, the 18th or whatever of January, we're going to need to start at least thinking, who do we want to talk to? How many of them do we want to talk to? And get Emily going on that, because otherwise you're not going to finish in 12/7.
yeah, no, I get it.
I know.
It's just
my
but,
project manager hat.
it's just we needed to get 12/7 stuff wrapped up. But now that I think the last one that I needed is pretty close, this is my focus. So today and tomorrow, really looking at getting a plan together and see what we can accomplish. And again, with the holidays, it's going to be what it is. But like I said, hopefully I have a better answer tomorrow than I do today.
All right, no, that's fair.
And I'll work with you on that. I'll probably ping you asynchronously in that issue, and we can discuss it.
Okay, yeah, and I can let Emily know on Slack that we've got something coming to her, but she really relies on those issues, those recruiting issues, to manage her work, so we just need to open that as soon as we can for her. And we can always update it.
Yeah, and the upshot is, I mean, 12/7, 12/8 would be great, but the way feature flags is kind of scheduled out, there is work being done in 12/7 and 12/8, but it's not like we can't do any of that work before doing that. Obviously, the more research we do up front, the more confident we'll be in what we do, but there is lots of stuff to test, and there's lots of work on the upcoming milestones. So if it pushes a little bit, it might be okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Lori, just please remind me, what do I need to do in order to get time allocated on 12.8 for validation?
Buy another researcher.
I have an end of year coupon.
Right, I know. I I don't know, like, go complain. Go find somebody and complain to them.
Well, I complained
Whoever's
all
in
the time.
charge. Yeah,
I complained, and we all complained to Scott, the VP.
good.
But besides complaining, which I'm really, really good at, but like proactively, in order
Yeah.
for me to get something in the board, I have a bunch of issues that I opened regarding validation, but I currently put them in the backlog. Of course, I'd like to push at least one item through. So should we talk about that async? Should we talk about it on the issue?
We can talk about it async if you want, or why don't you pick one, pull it up, make it active, create the research issue, ping me in it, and then I will take it from there and we can start planning for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And for I think 12.8, right, we're talking about, we have one issue I linked here and also in the docs of support type AWS environment variables. Not sure how much research, but we need to investigate this one, and we definitely need prototyping. And there's also, I think Configure, right, is also working on something related, right, but so there's an overlapping with what they're doing. How far are they? I'm not familiar. Do you know what it's?
There's an issue that I was linked on, and I think I pinged you on it.
Yeah. No, not an issue, but the Epic, maybe?
Maybe.
I'll see.
No, I think it was an issue. I only found out today that they're also working on it, and then I pinged you on it.
Yeah, and I worked this issue specifically. I worked on it 9 months ago, so
Oh, so it's fresh.
Yeah, right. But of course, the solution, the UX proposal is updated, and I think we really need to validate some prototyping and check with what the other teams are doing. And I'm not familiar if they are doing any sort of validation on it. So if they're already working on implementation or if they have a solution, we need to look into it. But my gut feeling says that we should at least validate the prototype. And Lori, maybe we can do it ourselves, but your mentoring is always welcome.
Oh, of course. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome.
And if you need to talk to customers, let's get that into Emily as soon as we can.
Okay.
Yeah, I submitted a recruiting request just for specific customers, like 3 or 4 of them around the regulated industries for 12.8 pretty much. So I think that's following the recruiting request process.
Yes. Yep. Because she'll know like who we've talked to before, and so she can filter the list that way, and then also really focus on what you are looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I see Jackie also mentioned that run books and blackout periods research, but even probably this is the one that you just now mentioned.
Yeah, so the way that I thought about it is we would give 2 months to conduct all of our research and validation work before we delivered something in 12.9. So we started the research, we got 40 responses to our survey, and I'm already conducting independent interviews with different users and accounts with TAMs. So that's in really good shape right now, I think.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, there is a final one. So like the splitting of the calls we discussed, and there is a final item on the list about the Think Big session. So actually, I just wanted to suggest if we should start doing that, but apparently Jackie says that you have already done one with Hayana, Nathan, and John. I'm not sure if we have enough time to discuss that. I would love to hear more details on that. How did it go? Maybe for the next time you can give us a little bit of a pitch. That would be cool to hear.
Sounds good. I mean, Hayana, I would love to hear your perspective on it as somebody who was inside the meeting with me.
Sure. It's really exciting to think big sessions. I think are moving towards the right direction. We also have a recording for this. Maybe, not maybe, but this is something that we discussed during the calls that, for us to have one participant, like one specialist, so one front-ender, back-ender, and the researchers as well would also always help. But this one was for release management. And I think that what we did, like discussing the overall idea of release management, was really valuable because we have all the assets, we have the text and the handbooks, but it's nice to hear like the product manager giving the perspective, some more like hands-on information. And I think also as we move forward, we're gonna figure out our ways to do things more dynamically. I would love to, in the future, do some rapid prototyping or play around, with ideas with the team and with the people that are involved, so that we can create this bigger vision for what we're building together. But it was super great, and I recommend watching the videos and also watching the other Think Big sessions that are on Unfiltered, that are on YouTube.
Cool. I'll definitely make sure that I will go through that. Thanks so much for the heads up. I have to drop to the next session, probably as many of us as well. Yeah, I will go through this Think Big session. It's exciting to hear that more people are doing that. I think this is a great way to solve issues and kind of like do the collaboration ideation on that. So it's nice to hear that you also had that experience. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything to add in the last minute before.
No, but
My daughter wants you to see her drawing that she made throughout the
Oh,
meeting.
yes.
Doris. We can't see. Up.
Hold it up higher. There you go. Ooh.
Look at those colors.
Very pretty.
How beautiful.
I don't know what issue we can add that to, but that to me qualifies as a UX proposal. Put that on an issue of let's build it.
We need to validate the accessibility and the colors, but it's a good proposal.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.